Hi folks, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah and in today's video I'm going to be giving you my verdict on Dr.Ph.Martin's HYDRUS watercolors. And whilst I'm giving you my likes and dislikes about these paints, I'll be using them to paint a picture of a beautiful dolphin. But before I jump into that, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you out there who are subscribed to my channel, as we've just hit 100 subscribers. I really appreciate all your support with your subscribes, likes and comments. It really helps to motivate me to carry on making videos. If you are new around here though and like this video, please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon as well to be alerted as soon as I upload a new video. So back to Dr.Ph.Martin's HYDRUS watercolors. Today I wanted to paint a whole picture with them and let you know what I like and what I don't like so much about them. So this is only my opinion, but thought it might be helpful for anyone out there considering buying them. This video isn't sponsored, so I don't get anything for giving anything other than my honest opinion. If you want to see a whole list of the different properties of these paints, then I have got a video that I did last week that you can go and check out, and I will put a link in the card above. So at the end of the video I'll either give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on what my final opinion is, so watch to the end if you'd like to know whether they get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So there is a bit of a backstory to me and these paints, because about 2 years ago I did order a set of 12, but when I received them they were a dodgy batch, so quite a lot of the paints had gone lumpy or dried out and basically I couldn't use them. But to cut a long story short, I had quite a lot of dealings with both Amazon and Dr.Ph.Martin's, and the result was that I ended up with the full set of 36 paints as a gesture of goodwill for the sort of the hassle that I went through. And I put them in the back of the cupboard and chalked them up to a bad experience and haven't got them out since, until now. So I was keen to try them again, give them a second chance and give you my honest, unbiased opinion. So I'm trying to put all the bad experience I had behind them with that one batch and start afresh. So the first thing that I do like about these paints is the fact that they're ready to use. I really like the sort of the dropper bottle. There's no mess or waste, so you can just easily take out a couple of drops of the watercolor and pop it in your palette. And they are super concentrated, but one thing that could be a dislike or a negative, I suppose, is the fact that they're so concentrated that you can't even see differences between colours when they're put in your palette. As you can see in my palette here, they all look really, really dark. So as much as they're ready to use in their little pipette pots, I would say that it's quite important that you kind of swatch them out first, and even like write the colours like I've done by the side of each swatch, so if you need to replace or replenish your colours, you get the right one. It could be quite easy to put the wrong colour into your palette and get a bit of an unfortunate mix that you didn't really want. So as much as it's a really nice thing that they're super concentrated and a little does go an extremely long way, that's just perhaps one of the practicalities of it that may be seen as a dislike. Another thing that I'm not a great fan of is the packaging of these paints, because they all come in a sort of a large circular plastic palette, which the manufacturers say can double up, and you can use it actually as a well to put your paints in, so you can use it as a palette. But to me it's just really bulky, and when all the paints are in there, they're all lying down on their side. So as much as I haven't had any problems with leaks or anything, that could be something to consider. So make sure if you buy these to screw those lids on really tightly, because you don't want any leaks when they're stored in the shelf. They're also quite bulky, so if you were going to kind of take them out and about, or you wanted to transport them, then it's kind of a big thing to have to cart around with you. They do come in smaller sizes, so I guess if you were someone who takes them out a lot or goes and does a lot of landscapes outside and that kind of thing, then maybe you could just buy the smaller jars. So you'll see here I'm just painting the sea, and you can see just how vibrant and concentrated those colours are, and that's a big plus for me. I did really like how they laid down. They really laid down nice and evenly and flat, and that was one of my concerns to begin with when I first received them, and I thought they wouldn't do that because they were all sort of grainy and lumpy. But the batch that I've got now, I haven't got a problem with it at all. And they also lift and layer really nicely. You can see now I'm just going in with a damp brush and just lifting off some of that colour before it's completely dry, and that gives a really nice effect for the sea. Another thing I liked about these paints is the fact that, as concentrated as they are when they come out of the bottle, you can vary the colour that you get very easily just by adding water. So if you add them neat, then you get a really strong, vibrant, pigmented colour. But if you just want to do washes like I did with the sky in the background, then you just dilute the paint down a lot more. So you've got quite a lot of variability, and you can change the concentration really easily just by adding water. So it was nice to be able to start off with lighter layers, adding more water, and then go in with a bit more of a concentrated colour as you build your picture. So for the actual painting of the dolphin, I did just use one colour in various concentrations. So I think it was a Paynes grey, but I started off with light washes. I tried using these paints with the wet in dry for the sky and then the wet in wet technique for the dolphin, and both worked really well. Both of these techniques work really well with these paints. That said, if you do want to mix the colours together, they do mix really nicely together both on the paper and in the palette as well, so that's another plus. One of the things I don't like about them though is the fact that they are so pricey, and as much as a little goes a long way, it might be something to consider if you're not planning on using them very often. I'm not sure that I could 100% trust that over time they would maintain the quality and consistency. Although, again, as I said, this is a different batch and I haven't had any problems with them being in the cupboard over the last year. I will also say that I think the paper that you use does make a big difference to your painting as well. So the paper I'm using today, I will list in the description box, but it is 100% cotton and it's a cold press paper. So I really like using this sort of paper because it tends to withstand being wet quite a lot and several layers of paint, and I haven't had any problem either with these paints or this paper so far as buckling or the paper texture or anything like that. So I really enjoyed doing these layers and building up the colour gradually whilst doing this dolphin. So the other thing to mention, and this is quite a game changer for some of you at least, because these paints are light fast. I haven't tested this out, but that is what the manufacturers say. So if you're the sort of person who likes to sell original pieces of art, you can trust that they won't fade over time. It's not something that's super important to me, I have to say, because I tend to make prints of my paintings and I always use archival inks anyway. But if you're someone, as I say, who likes to use and sell original pieces of art, then this is something that is a big advantage of these paints over perhaps some other watercolours. It also works really well over the masking fluid, as you can see, and I will link the masking fluid I used down in the description box as well. And you can see how concentrated that colour is when I'm just putting it on, using a bit of wet in wet but just now to darken up some of the shadows underneath the dolphin's fin and on that right side. And I just love watching paint when it spreads onto the paper like that. It's just so satisfying. I don't know if anyone else feels like that as well, or maybe it's just me, but that's not something that's exclusive to these paints, by the way. That is just why I like watercolors so much. I just really love watching the paint spread over the paper in that way. So one thing that I did test out this time was the reactivation. So I did this painting over a couple of days. It didn't take me ever so long, actually. It took me about 2 hours, but in between times the paints in my palettes did dry, so it was a good opportunity to see if the claim that they can reactivate with water held up, and indeed they did. So when I came back the second day to do my painting, I just added with a pipette a couple of drops of water. You probably see me doing it at the beginning of the video actually, and mixing them in to see if we could get them back to the original state as they came out of the bottle. And they did. It was fine. I did have to sort of stir them up a little bit because initially the different pigments, obviously they're pigment based watercolors, liquid watercolors, so they did need to be stirred up. And that's another thing that I would say as an aside, is that before you use them I would kind of shake the bottle and make sure that all those pigments are kind of evenly mixed in to the liquid base. So yeah, they can reactivate with water as long as you give them a good stir, but that just means that there's no wastage. So that's something that possibly you take for granted if you were using, say, watercolors in pans or tubes, but it was something that I had a bit of an issue with the first batch, as I said before, because they didn't really blend together. They kind of went dry and flaky, but this batch, as I said, it was perfectly fine, no problems at all. So yeah, as much as they're expensive, and that is a bit of a downside, they are economical in the long run. So I would say if you wanted to buy some, the price is a big downside because right now they're quite expensive on Amazon. I didn't pay full price for them, I waited for them to be on offer, and so I think I got them half price. So just make sure that you look out for any offers if this is something that you want to buy. So I think I've said everything that I wanted to say about these paints, and I think on balance there's more things I like about them than I don't. I'd love to know as well if any of you have tried these paints, what your verdict is on them, if you've had any good or bad experiences. If you've got a story to tell, then do just drop a comment in the box below. I'd love to hear from you. But I think, as I say, on balance there's more than I like than I don't like. So I like that they're ready to use, I like the bottles, I don't like the packaging, but that's just one aspect of it. I don't like that there could be a variation across the colours. So when I buy a set of paints, generally speaking, I do like to know that they're all going to behave the same way, they're all going to act consistently to the same sort of standard. I don't like variation within a set, but that said, I haven't had any problems with this batch or the colours that I've used today. I do like the concentrated and highly pigmented nature of them, and I like that they're light fast, they mix well, they layer, you can reactivate them, and you can vary the colour just by adding water. So I think my verdict is that I will give them a thumbs up instead of a thumbs down, but I would love to know what you think. Drop a comment in the box below as well if you've liked this video, and I wish you all a really nice weekend, and I will see you all in the next video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.